Okay, so I am joined today by my lovely wife at Art We Are, and we're here meeting Hope Mikal. I hope I said the last name correct. We both share an affinity for graffiti. We don't condemn it, nor do we condone it, but we both come from the TRU tourism program, and she finished her senior paper on graffiti art in Amsterdam. And if you've checked out, there is quite a few graffiti artists around town on Instagram. They like posting their stuff, so I thought it'd be interesting to have Hope share what she learned in her final years at TRU. And I'll leave it with you, Hope.
Okay. Hi, I'm Hope. I'm a creative person. I would say everything I do, I feel like, comes through some sort of artistic point. And I have been really involved in the Kamloops art community through different events and festival planning and stuff like that. And that's when I started to go to TRU to learn how to do event planning. And then I decided to take a degree in tourism. And then through that, in my last years of studying at TRU, I actually studied abroad at NHTV in Breda, which is in the Netherlands. And I spent my final year studying there, which was really cool. I learned about international marketing and tourism stuff. And so for my undergrad paper, I had to write about something. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about at all. And projecting anymore? Do you want me to bring it closer?
Just try and keep it a constant.
Okay, don't move it.
I have no idea how to do levels, so just keep it more or less even. You probably know more than me, I'll be honest.
I feel like it looks okay. Don't you want it to be peaking like over half?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I haven't read that much into YouTube yet.
No? Okay. Okay. So of course, like, studying abroad was really amazing, and it's a time that I look really fondly upon. But what I really enjoyed was being a total geek and learning about street art in a new way. So I backpacked all over Europe, and everywhere I went, I was taking photos of cool art and stickers and throw-ups and tags that I saw everywhere. And then I decided that I should write a paper about it, and so I did. And yeah, I think I'm just kind of always that person who's looking for weird stuff in weird places, and I think it's really important that we do that more often in life. So I didn't really consider myself like an academic researcher. I just started like walking around Amsterdam and taking photos of really cool stuff, and there was a lot of really cool stuff. And then I started walking into art galleries that had exhibitions about street art and urban art and graffiti, and talking to different artists and taking them out for coffee or giving them a cigarette with my little voice recorder, kind of like you are right now, and just hanging out with these people and learning so much about them. And
so what was your senior thesis? What was your question that you were trying to answer with your paper?
I wanted to prove that there was a street art culture in Amsterdam. So when people think of street art in Europe, they think of London and Paris and Berlin and Lisbon as really big hubs of street art. And I wanted to prove that in Amsterdam there was a culture, and that this culture was creating a community in different spaces.
And so what were you looking for in terms of markers that this community or culture exists in Amsterdam, and how can we see this here in Kamloops?
Well, I found tons of different hot spots all over the city, which is really cool. And through talking to people, I learned more about the scale of like crews and how artists work together, and how they just like, from like how they're working together and how they stick together, and how it like this whole like kind of illegal system is just underground and out there. And that was really interesting. And how it translates to Kamloops, well, it does in a way. Like, we have lots of spots where people are tagging and throwing up art as well. And we also have a public space, like the back alley art murals here in downtown Kamloops. It's a little bit different. But I think Kamloops, one of the biggest things to look at is the trains that are going through here and intersecting through town all the time, and all the really neat pieces that are on there, and just the scope of like the amount of work that goes into that, and like breaking into a train yard and spending 4 hours painting this really beautiful piece, probably in the cold or probably gonna get caught kind of thing, is really scary. And I think it's really exciting in a way, and to see them traveling across Canada is pretty cool.
And, well, there's also no real recognition you get other than your pseudonym, you know, because you don't want to tie your real name to it, of course. And if you've ever looked at buying spray paint, the type of spray paint they buy is not cheap by any means. You know, one of those pieces can cost, you know, $100 or whatever it be to put up. What are some of your favorite pieces that people might be able to see around town that you're familiar with?
Well, thinking of like the murals in downtown, I really like the one behind Four Cats of the girl with the painting, and I also really like the one. Where is it? Right behind Kip Mallory. It's not actually part of. Well, it is part of the back alley art murals, but it was there before they started this whole program, and it was just a bunch of artists. I think they're from Toronto who did a whole bunch of like kind of tagging. Have you seen it before?
I'm very bad at my downtown geography, I'll be honest.
It's pretty great. So there's like all these like tags and colors, but then actually on the wall there's this little Lego man that someone threw up, and it's Super Mario, and they've like cemented it to the wall. And so it's just an addition to what was already there. And I talked to the guy who put it there, and I thought it was so cool, and I think he's really amazing. And he actually has pieces all over town, which is really neat too. There's some on the Blue Bridge, and I think some of them have been like taken down because people find them and think they're really neat. But they're usually like these little like nerdy cartoon characters made out of Lego.
When you were researching your paper, you know, were there some sort of concepts that you found these artists were trying to portray through their art, or, you know, what themes did you find through your research that you think maybe you can see here in town?
Themes that I saw in Amsterdam was that street art really permeates through skate culture and through music, like hip-hop and punk. That's where it came from in Amsterdam, was different punk shows and people going to those shows who then got together and started painting. And here in town, I think that I don't know a lot of people who do graffiti here, I'm not going to lie. So I can't tell you what their marker is or what that kind of identifying theme is. But
yeah, I've come across, there's the Graffiti Express, which we both admire.
yes.
You know, he appears to just post the trains going by,
Yeah.
you know, so that you can kind of keep up with the pseudonyms that are driving by. And then there's Sega _AI. He's another one who's put some pieces up. I think you can actually see one of his pieces out towards the highway up towards Clearwater, just as you're exiting Kamloops, and there's that baseball diamond that's kind of like half abandoned on the right-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
I believe there's a piece of his up there. And then that old shack that was by the drive-in movie theater had a bunch of pieces, but I think it burnt down, or someone burnt. I don't know what happened there.
That was a really cool spot for a while.
Yeah, I never actually pulled up and checked it out. It was always off the side of my eye as driving, but there's definitely little hidden stuff even amongst the downtown core that are pretty fun to keep an eye out, or slaps or whatever be.
Even in like Peterson Creek and under the Blue Bridge and in those kind of areas, there's lots of stuff.
Yeah, the Peterson Creek has some really fun stuff with the overpass. There's some really interesting work. One of my favorite pieces actually is out at Cooney Bay. There's a cement block, and it's a stencil. So myself, I'm not able to do freehand at all because I spray painted all my skateboarding stuff. But I did stencil work, never actually on a wall or anything, but on T-shirts or whatever it be. And you know, I think, you know, stencil work is definitely a different way of approaching things and seeing things all together.
It's really cool. I've seen lots of work where it's like layers of different stencils, and it's just so incredible.
It's the idea that you see something and they can overlay it in their mind, right? And I think that's part of the graffiti aesthetic is countercultural, but it definitely is something that I'd like to see Kamloops figure out its balance, because it has a very anti-graffiti, which vandalism is wrong. At no point should you ever ruin someone else's property. But Kamloops' history with graffiti hasn't altogether been a completely positive one. Where do you think Kamloops can kind of find some balance? Is the skate park the right place to have, local talent explore, or should it be on a gallery wall? How do you propose that Kamloops can get along with graffiti artists?
Well, so far, Kamloops is trying. So, Arnica Artist Run Center in the old courthouse. In 2013, they had an art exhibition. It was called The Underworld, the Hidden Art of Kamloops, and different street artists actually had their work on walls there. And that was really cool to see. They were all unnamed. They didn't want to expose themselves, but it was really awesome. And I think a lot of people turned out for that. And there were some people who were upset by it, too, seeing that in that space. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Strange that they were upset in an art gallery, which the point is to make you feel something, anything at all. It's okay to be upset. There's no issues with that, but definitely interesting nonetheless.
Definitely. And at the skate park, I think that they're trying to keep some of those pieces up, but like the really good ones, I'm using quotations, which you can't tell because this is radio, but I feel like they're trying to keep some of those up. But there's definitely a difference between tagging and graffiti and street art. Like,
you have to make that differentiation, totally.
Yeah, and definitely in the context of legality and the content that you're producing, there's so many different things to think about. And of course, I think that's really hard for someone just starting out to start to learn and figure out.
Totally. Well, Hope, we're coming to the close here. Where can people find you? I know you manage the Joy Factory Instagram handle and Twitter, and basically wrangled that crew of boys around town to make sure they get to their shoots. Where can people find you personally online?
I'm on Instagram. You can follow me just at Hope Michael. I have fun stuff sometimes that I post there.
Cool. And other than that, hopefully we kind of continue seeing some positive change in the local art scene, whatever that is, and however graffiti fits into that. And hopefully you share some photos of your favorite work around town that we can then share with the podcast and get what our listeners' opinions are as well. And have a wonderful rest of your extremely snowy day.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.